Yo, what up? Welcome to Mo Boxing No Problem. I'm Jose Maris Jr. and I'm joined by my co-host today, Kayla Martinez from Ringside with Kayla. And we got a special guest with us this morning. We got Mark Habibi from Fightbook. How's it going, Mark?
Great. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming back on our platform.
Absolutely.
Um,
Thanks for
few
having me.
comments already. We got Skywalker Boxing Media says salute Jose and Mark at work listening in.
All
Salute
right, Timmy.
Skywalker. And then you got Sports and Soon says, what's good, champs? Listening from work too. Salute Skywalker.
Awesome.
So salute. So Mark, it's been a while since we had you on, and we know Fightbook has been evolving from the initial idea. So the first question we got for you today is what exactly is Fightbook now at launch?
So, Fightbook at launch right now is basically the minimum viable product. You hear the term MVP when it comes to tech companies. It's not what you think. MVP is not most valuable player, it's minimum viable product. And so basically, we had to focus on what's the main problem that we can solve with Fightbook and focus on that first before trying to add all the bells and whistles. Because if we try and build every little feature that we're thinking of on the platform, we won't go live for another year and a half, 2 years. So the minimum viable product right now is basically onboarding fighters, figuring out what they want as far as what weight classes they're willing to fight, the number of rounds, the geographic region of the world they're willing to fight in, what the minimum purse is, so on and so forth in that capacity, so we can onboard the fighters. The second step to that is basically onboarding promoters, matchmakers, managers as well, so they can start putting their wish list of what they want. And so if promoters can actually go and build a card. So if they're having a show coming up and they have 8 fights made, or excuse me, they have 8 fights total, they have 4 fights made, and they want to look for 4 other fighters, they can basically punch in the parameters of the type of opponent that they're looking for. So they can look for, a specific fighter, number of total fights, win to loss record, number of rounds, so on and so forth. So they can put their wish list out there. This way, we're creating the two-way marketplace so the two parties can, basically connect and communicate together. So each party can message and communicate in that capacity. So that's the most simple MVP that we can come up with, and that's what we're going live with. We have the Butterfly Brawl that's coming up. That's August 16th at the Santa Monica Pier, which we're super excited about. And we are basically asking all fighters to register on the platform to have an opportunity to be considered to fight on that card. And all the fighters that are already currently the A side have already registered as well. So this is just a great event for us to get exposure for Fightbook and to bring fighters onto the platform. So the strategy is you got to bring the fighters in first, because if we start onboarding promoters and matchmakers and managers right now to look for fighters, we don't have the product out there. We don't have as much as we want. So to create a robust market, we really need to get the fighters there. So that's kind of the goal with the Butterfly Brawl, is to help onboard those fighters.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And who exactly can use Fightbook? Is it just for the fighters and promoters, or can managers and trainers use it as well?
So right now we can onboard fighters, we can onboard managers, promoters, service providers, and fans. Everybody can onboard now, but just the capability of what can you actually do right now. So we can register everybody, but it's just very limited features for everybody right now. But as time progresses, there'll be much more features that'll be added to the platform. But right now, everybody can message each other. So if you're a ring card girl, you can get on the platform, you can advertise your services, and you can be found. So if a promoter's putting on a show and they want to find a local ring card girl, they have the capability of doing that today.
Nice. And Mark, is there fee associated with using Fightbook? Do you kind of envision
Absolutely
eventually absolutely free?
It's absolutely free. Our goal is to get enough traffic on the platform, similar to Instagram. Instagram is free. And then eventually they charge, they're able to monetize it by advertising revenue and premium features, things like that. So we hope to get there one day, but our goal is adoption over monetization right now. We just want to fix the problem, and we want to onboard as many users as possible. So we want to reduce any friction or any potential roadblocks. So we're not trying to charge a penny right now. We just want to get people to come in and play with the platform, and hopefully they see value in it and they keep coming back. And if we get that traffic, then, we can get advertising revenue eventually. And maybe, as we launch additional features, we can have those premium features where we can monetize those.
Absolutely. I know
that's secondary.
Free is a huge attraction. It's free.
to get people to come and explore the platform. So it's absolutely free.
Awesome.
No commitments, no contracts.
And for fighters looking to use the platform, specifically amateur boxers, would they be able to use Fightbook to book their pro debuts?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. A lot of the fighters we have actually are pro debut guys. So for seasoned fighters, for anybody, amateurs, professional, we're even onboarding MMA fighters right now. Our goal, our focus on the marketing side has been geared towards the boxing community. That's our test market. But absolutely, we're actively onboarding MMA fighters as well.
Awesome. And then, Mark, if I'm a fighter that's already signed to a promoter or a promotional company, am I still able to utilize Fightbook to get my next fight booked?
Of course. So when we're onboarding fighters, one of the first questions we ask them is if they're going to manage themselves, if they're going to self-manage, or if they have any contractual commitments to a promoter or manager. And if they do, they need to disclose that, and they actually need to invite that person to the platform. So they're the manager and or promoter or representative of their choice will be included in all the correspondence, and actually the fighter can set up the platform so they can give control to their promoter or manager to actually update their profile for them and receive. They're going to be copied on all the correspondence anyways, but the fighter has the choice to be like, I don't even want to see any correspondence. I want to redirect everything to my representative, whether that be a promoter or manager. So yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Can a fighter bid on multiple fights around the same time frame, or are they only allowed to bid on one fight at a time?
So we're just right now, there's no bidding process. Right now, our platform allows people to just connect and communicate and transact. So yeah, they can bid on as many fights as they want, but there's no bidding through our platform in and of itself. So we're simply like a dating app where we bring parties together and then they transact freely. We're not involved in their negotiations or their transactions. We're just simply a hub to connect, communicate, and transact.
Nice. And then, Mark, if
Which is what's missing right now because it's just so fragmented. Trying to make a fight these days is very difficult. You're getting on Facebook groups, or you're digging through BoxRec, and you're trying to find who fought recently, and then you're trying to find their contact information. We're just trying to simplify the process and streamline it by bringing everybody under one umbrella.
Yeah, and Mark, with this being completely new, just launching, I know there's still kind of timelines to be worked out. But if I'm a fighter that just signed up for Fightbook, what do you think would be kind of an appropriate time to kind of hear back and get opportunities presented to you? Would it be like 2 weeks from signing up?
I think a lot of that just depends on the fighter's expectations. You know what I mean? There's some fighters that are more realistic than others. There's some fighters that organically just price themselves out. They think their value is much more than the market dictates. So if they're reasonable in their expectations and their expectations are aligned with the market, then they should get fights relatively quickly. But it just depends on, there's certain weight classes that are in higher demand than others. And it's certainly, it's easier to make a fight with a 154 pounder than like a bantamweight or a flyweight. There's just not as many of them out there. So that's to be determined. I can't give a solid answer on that.
And that's a good point too. It has a lot to do with the weight divisions because we know a lot of the lower weight classes are really big in Japan. But if you have a big profile, I do not want to travel to Japan, then you're going to limit your opportunities.
Exactly. And also, purse wise, what your expectations are. So
yep, absolutely.
But this will help create the market. The market dictates what the value is going to be, and vice versa. The value dictates the market. So it's just like anything else. Historically, I think as time progresses, this will be similar to how you value a property, right? If you want to find out what your house is worth, what do? You hire an appraiser. What does the appraiser do? The appraiser looks at the last 6 months of comparable sales, and he comes up with a high, median, and low of what he can expect that house to be worth, and that's based on sales that are comparable. So no two properties are comparable, just like no two fighters are comparable. But as you start transacting and recording his data, then it should help bridge the gap between what a promoter expects to pay and what a fighter expects to earn, because they can look back over the last 6 months and be like, hey, these fights were made against these type of opponents in this part of the world at this weight class. So you should expect to get somewhere between here and here. And so we hope that this information will help bridge the gap and, help make more fights.
Absolutely.
And as far as promoters and event organizers using Fightbook, is Fightbook only for California events, or is it only in the US, or is it global?
It's right now it's US. But we want to get our proof of concept. We don't want to, we want to be strategic and not spread ourselves too thin and try and take on the whole world at once. We want to get proof of concept and kind of, get some traction in the United States first, and then Mexico as well, because they're so close to us. So many fighters come out of Mexico, and then some of the name, obviously, Puerto Rico and Argentina, big boxing areas. So those areas immediately, a lot of our fighters we've already onboarded them from Argentina, from Mexico, and Puerto Rico. So I think those territories first are going to get the most attention. And if we get traction, then we'll quickly expand into other parts of the world. But I see this being a global brand 100%. And not just boxing, everything fight related, bare knuckle, MMA, slap boxing. I think all the combat sports that are out there have this need for, to have this hub where people can easily connect, communicate, and transact.
Absolutely. And we've seen Fightbook already involved in a lot of great events throughout the U.S. as a sponsor. What's the process for a promoter to reach out and kind of get Fightbook to sponsor their event?
Have them just direct message us, and we're very good about responding. We're, at first we took a very grassroots approach, primarily in California, because we didn't have a place. We just had a landing page. But now that we're live, we're looking for bigger opportunities. So if there's larger fights out there that are being streamed that, will have a lot of viewership, that's more our focus right now, is to get as many eyeballs on the platform as possible. So we're kind of stepping away from the grassroots approach that we've been accustomed to and entering that space where we can, have more exposure and on bigger shows. And we're going to be presenting we just presented at the IBF convention. We're going to be presenting at the WBO, the WBC, hopefully, the WBA as well. So we're excited about educating the world and having them learn about what Fightbook is and how it's going to work and how it's going to benefit everybody in combat sports. Our mission is clear. We want to help make more fights happen. And how we do that is by making shows more profitable for promoters, by reducing their operating expenses, because so much of their expenses are caught up in the cost of the opponents, because for lack of availability, lack of options, local options, they have to, reach out to fighters in other states and in other countries. And there's a cost associated with bringing in those fighters from overseas and cross countries, which adds expenses to their bottom line. And they get no benefit from, selling tickets, because these guys are not ticket sellers from out of state and out of country. So goal is, having Fightbook help source local fighters for the promoters to help, make the shows more profitable. And by doing so, we hope, existing promoters put on more shows, and we want to encourage more promoters to come into the space. I'm not talking about, promoters that are going to compete with the top echelon guys like Top Ranks and Golden Boys and stuff like that, but definitely more local club promoters. I think that's very achievable, and I think that's great for the sport, because you have so many fighters out there that they're just complaining that they're not fighting enough. And the reason why they're not fighting enough is because a lot of shows aren't profitable. There are not enough shows out there to service the needs of all the fighters. And the reason why it just boils down to profitability. Like, nobody wants to put on a show and lose money. But if we can streamline the process of making fights, make them more efficient, and make them more profitable by finding all local resources, reducing those travel expenses, and also being able to find red and blue corner fighters from the same geographic region, we really tackle the problem, and it's a win. It's a win for everybody.
Well
And we're
said.
excited, yeah.
And how would a promoter request or book the Fightbook Ring Girls for an event?
So they just get on the platform and they can easily search, based on service provider, the type of service provider they're looking for, whether it's a ring card girl, a ring announcer, cornerman, whatever it is. We're actively onboarding right now. So if you happen to be any of the above, our goal, Fightbook really caters to anybody who's involved in any way, shape, or form in the fighter's life, inside or outside of the ring, or involved in the production of a combat sports event in any way, shape, or form. So really, it's from A to Z, whether you're a videographer, a nutritionist, a gym owner, an insurance agent, an attorney. If you have anything to do with the fighter's life inside or outside of the ring, or if you have anything to do with putting on a production in any way, shape, or form, there's a place for you. And this is just literally a place for you to advertise whatever service it is that you provide that would benefit the combat sports world. So really A to Z. And if you don't fit any of that, if you work at McDonald's and you have no influence over a fighter's life, well, you can still join as a fan. And we're still working on all the fan experiences out there, but there's going to be a ton of them, and it's going to be, right now they can get news and actually the news is going to be on the app that's coming out, which we haven't gone live on the app yet, but it's shortly, it's going to be out there in the next couple weeks.
Nice. And then, Mark, one of the features that really stood out to me was kind of the use of AI with generating fight cards. Can you share a little bit about how that will work?
Yeah, that's more to come. So that's not a feature that's made it to the MVP, but it's definitely a tool that we're going to enable and unleash for the promoters primarily, so they can help source, fighters in the red and blue corner from the same geographic region to reduce those expenses, like I just mentioned, and amplify the ticket sales. So, we're going to have a data as we onboard fighters. We're collecting their data, which geographic area of the world they're in, where's their hometown, their weight class, number of rounds they're willing to fight, and that technology will basically help group it. So if you're a promoter, say you're a new promoter and you were based in North Carolina, and you want to put on a show, you can get on our platform and source everything from the venue to the ring rental, videographer, ring card girls, ring announcers. You can find all local resources to put on your show. And eventually our technology will be able to almost pre-match fighters for you that have agreed to fight each other. Because my vision is eventually to make this like a dating app where fighters can swipe to the left if they want to fight somebody, swipe to the right if they don't want to fight somebody, And so you'll have this list of fighters that have already tentatively agreed to face each other, and they happen to be from the same geographic region. We can put together a potential card for a promoter to, of fighters that have already agreed to fight each other and that fall within the same geographic region. So really exciting stuff. I mean, it's a game changer, and I'm excited to be a part of this thing.
Sounds amazing. We got a comment here. Salute.
What up, Nonito?
Hi for me. So we got Nonito in the chat. Salute,
yes,
Nonito.
Sir. My guy. I love him.
Legend right there.
He's the best. He's got great energy.
I think earlier you were also getting into a little bit about what the butterfly brawl is. Do you mind going into a little bit more detail about that and telling us the story behind that?
Yeah, so thank you. The butterfly ball, it was the ball eventually. Now it's transformed into the brawl, but it's an event that that started 7 years ago to honor my cousin Yassi Hosseini, who lost her 7-year battle to cancer. And so what would have been her 40th birthday, me and her brother and a few of her colleagues from work and some friends got together, and we put together this amazing party to celebrate her 40th birthday. And the beneficiary was the City of Hope. And we pulled our resources together. We were able to get the Black Eyed Peas, Nikki Costa, Too Short, and a few other performers at the Peppermint Club in West Hollywood. And we had this fundraiser party. It was supposed to be just a one-time event, but the event was so successful and we raised so much money for the City of Hope, we said, let's run it back a second year. So we did. In 2018, we had Snoop Dogg as our headliner. Again, great event. Made tons of money for the City of Hope. We did it again in 2019. We had Anderson .Paak as our headliner. And then COVID came. The event went dormant. And we brought it back last year and we changed it. We said, let's do something different this year. So we changed it from the butterfly ball to the butterfly brawl. And we added boxing and entertainment under one under one roof. And we had Jermaine Dupri as our musical headliner last year. And it was a great event. And so this year we're bringing it back August 16th. It's going to be at the Santa Monica Pier, which is an amazing venue. Outside on the deck, right next to the Ferris wheel. We've got Mixmaster Mike from the Black Eyed Peas who's going to be performing, and it's going to be an amazing show. We're starting off with kids from the Police Activities League that are going to be fighting each other, and a few amateur fights. It's then going to transition into the Santa Monica Police Department versus Santa Monica Fire Department, and then it'll roll into the professional fights starting around 4 p.m. And we got a stacked card with the headliner being Brandon Adams, and then co-main event D'Angelo Evans. We also have Brianda Tamara Cruz, who's a Mexican Olympian, plus Chantel Navarro. We have a whole. It's a great card that's coming. That's being shaped right now. So really exciting stuff. And the beneficiary this year is going to be the American Cancer Society and the Santa Monica Police Activities League, because we're getting a lot of support from the city. So we want to give back and honor them.
Absolutely. Someone soon says Mixmaster Mike from Beastie Boys.
That's right, Mixmaster Mike.
And then Skywalker Boxing says, but for Broad going to be fire. Most definitely.
Yep, we hope to see it. We hope everybody comes out. You can actually get tickets now at fightbook.com. There's a link for ticket sales there, and actually 70% of the cost of the tickets is a tax write-off, because this is a nonprofit. So come out, support the cause, and we'll be excited to have you.
There you go. And then Sporting Students has a question. He says, how do sponsors or businesses advertise with Fightbook?
Well, right now we're pushing all of our sponsors to be a sponsor for the Butterfly Brawl. As far as sponsoring Fightbook right now, we haven't actively seeked any sponsorship. I would divert that right now and have them, have, as much as I'd love to take your money, I would rather go to this cause and this event. But I appreciate the proposal, and I'm open to things. So if there's in the future, somebody wants to advertise with Fightbook, send us a direct message and we can talk about it. But I would encourage everybody right now if they're going to put any money to work and want some exposure for your company, put it towards the Butterfly Brawl. It's a much better cause than putting it in my pocket or in Fightbook's pocket. So I would appreciate that.
Yep. And going back to the Butterfly Brawl, Mark, is the fight card complete, or is there still opportunities for fighters?
There's still opportunities. No, there's absolutely there. So we haven't matched up a lot of these guys yet, and it's time. So we encourage all fighters that are out there. If you haven't registered on Fightbook yet, register under as a fighter, because we're sourcing all of our talent from Fightbook. We made that clear through some social media posts that you have to be registered to be considered to be on the card. All the ASAD guys are already registered, and our campaign is geared towards basically getting, fighters to register at Fightbook, and the best fights will be made. We're trying to do the best thing for the beneficiaries and make it as profitable for the beneficiaries as possible. So what that's going to boil down to is we have a lot of people that want to fight on the show, but I've told everybody, it all depends on who you get matched with. The people that get matched with local opponents are the ones that are going to get priority. So we're going to get as many fights on the card as possible. I know the nature of the beast. Last year we did this thing at 8 fights going into fight week and ended up with 5. So I'm like, I don't want to do that to myself again, where I'm scrambling last minute trying to find, fighters to get on the show. We're going to overstack it. We're overstacking it intentionally because we know the nature of this business. Things happen and fights fall apart. So we want to make sure that we have the opposite problem this year, not the same problem we had last year.
Right on.
And lastly, for your closing message, is there anything you'd like to share with fighters, promoters, or the fans about Fightbook's mission? What's coming next?
Our mission is simple. We want to make more fights happen, and we're going to do that by everything I've talked about so far. Making shows more profitable, streamlining the process of making fights, really empowering fighters to have a voice, because fighters don't have a platform to seek opportunities for themselves. They're kind of just forced to be sitting ducks in a gym and hoping that somebody's going to bring them an opportunity. So we hope our platform is going to allow them to empower them to take control of their careers, to seek opportunities for themselves. And I don't think anybody's going to be replaced. I think this is a clear win for the promoter, because the promoter is going to have more profitable shows for the reasons that I told you: reduced expenses and amplified ticket sales. It's a win for the fighter because we're empowering them to take control of their careers. We're giving them a voice to seek opportunities and to easily be found. Matchmaking is an art. We're simply providing more options for the matchmakers. Styles make fights, so they're having more options to choose from. And booking agents, I always hear you're trying to replace booking agents. No, we're not. The smart booking agent goes and acts as an advocate and approaches fighters and say, hey, there's this new technology out there, but you need an advocate who's going to represent you. Similar to how a real estate agent is involved in a transaction for sales of a home, right? Why is there a real estate agent involved in 95% of the transactions? Because they understand the value of the asset. They know the market. They know how to negotiate contracts, right? Same thing. So let's face it, at the end of the day, the promoter is the buyer, right? The fighters are the home. The promoters want to get the best deal on the house that they possibly can, right? So there's a little bit of a conflict there. The fighter either needs to be educated enough to understand his value for a specific type of fight, because the ultimate cost of this fighter depends on which opponent he's facing, what weight class, how many rounds, what type of show is it, right? So that fighter needs somebody, whether it's their manager or some sort of representative. A lot of fighters don't have managers, right? They need some sort of representative to help them navigate and make the best decision for them. So I don't think booking agents are getting replaced. I think if you're a booking agent, you see this as a threat, you're making a mistake. I think you should look at it as a tool, and you should approach these fighters that you have relationships with and say, hey, let me be your advocate. Let me help you. So I think it's a win for everybody if everybody uses the tool effectively. I don't know if every person out there is going to welcome the transparency that Fightbook's going to bring, but I would hope that they would. And if they don't welcome it, you should probably, reevaluate who they are.
Very well said. And we got to come here. This Sebastian Washington telling you guys right now, Fightbook will be a game changer. Fightbook is the future. So definitely go give them check them out on Instagram at Fightbook. You can learn more details. And Mark, we appreciate your time.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
More on the platform, and we'll be tuning in for Butterfly Brawl. It's gonna be a nice event.
Yes. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Take care, Mark. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you.